unto the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondsmen. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigorous, but shall fear thy God. Verse number 42. Verse 42. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondsmen. Eternal God, our Father, this again, Lord, I stand behind this sacred desk. Ask God that you will remove me, that they see none of me but all of thee. Then, God, I'd ask that you would anoint me from the crown of my head to the very sole of my feet. Let none of my inadequacies, none of my hang-ups hinder what you want to do. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, our Lord and our Redeemer. For us in Jesus the Christ's name we do pray. And the people of God say, amen. From the book of Leviticus chapter 25, and this one verse. For they are not my servants, which I brought forth out of the land, for they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondsmen. Now, y'all know that in years past that slaves were sold. They went from one farm to another. Sometimes they would sell the mother or the father or the children separately, sometimes as a family. Now, I don't know how much of that I can remember, but much as I see on TV. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like watching slave movies on TV. It give me flashbacks. But as you watch these movies, you see how black folks were treated. They were bought and sold. The word slavery, my brothers and sisters, conjures up horrible thoughts for many of us. Though we have not experienced it ourselves, we only need to go back 4 or more generations to find our ancestors with no last names and an invisible yoke around their neck. So it's unforgettable that we would find it very disconcerting that slavery existed in biblical times. But Hebrew slaves was very different from that of other nations in the Bible. You see, a Jewish slave had rights. He was not to be treated as a slave, but rather as a hired servant. Jews were not to be slaves to any man because they belonged to God. They were his adopted kinsmen. Yet, even in biblical times, there were instances where Jews could be an indented servant to another because of unpaid debt. Once the debt was paid, the Jew was released from the indenture. Now, there is some similarity in